Why is our live stream not going on YouTube is my question. Oh, there we go. Alrighty. One more thing we must do. Alrighty. Okay, ready, Kieran?
Yeah.
Okay. You entering? Okay. We've lost a member. Oh, and he's back.
We are having recording issues. I am sorry.
Anyways, we'll start in 10, 9, 8. We'll get OBS next time to make a better countdown. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Stat podcast. We are back here. This is, I believe, episode 20. That is 20. That's 2 times 10. And we're going to do a little class of 2025 talk because we've got some big kind of changes and shakeups happening. So over the past roughly week since we've recorded episode 19, we've had roughly 3 or 4 decommits from USC that's dropped them from, I believe they were 4th all the way down to 19th, which really hurts for them. And I want to clear out that the reason why we're not talking specific names is because we don't know where these players will land yet. And I don't want to associate them in your head with a different team than they actually end up playing for. So once it seems that they're committed and tied down closer to signing day much later in the year, because this is not a recruiting show, we're not getting into it. We don't talk about players. We talk about the impact players are going to have on their teams. So we're going to not get into that, but I'm going to tell you kind of the general moves. But yeah, USC lost a 4-star D lineman and I believe a couple of 5 stars in offensive positions. I think it was a wide receiver and I think another defensive lineman as well. And then one of those defensive linemen was immediately snapped up by Georgia. He committed to Georgia after leaving USC. And then there were a couple of other changes, but Michigan was able to land a 4-star running back. It really seems like Michigan's swinging on the up in terms of recruiting right now. They've had a lot of commits. They've had a couple of quarterbacks commit, and they've had then again a new running back commit who, according to their running back staff and Sharon Moore, could be the guy for them coming up. That is, if he doesn't decide to randomly leave their team for a
Oh, Kieran's audio just cut out. He will be back soon. Anyways, like Kieran was saying, this is about Michigan, so Kieran's gonna go on a rant about them soon. Whenever he gets his audio back, here he is. Kieran, are
Yo.
you with us?
Yes, I am
Alright,
back.
perfect.
Okay. I can't even make excuses for myself. So Michigan is really looks like they're doing well in recruiting. My bad. I'm not doing well in the recording department. That's what's going on here. And we've been able, Michigan's had some issues, and they've never been really a top 10 recruiter, but they're starting to be that. Like I've seen more dominoes fall for Michigan than really against them and really to other places in these past couple of days. And I think that's going to be important. And I think it'll turn out to be very important in the next couple of years as Michigan goes through this transition phase away from Harbaugh. And I've also heard in regards to the Connor Stallions, while we're on Michigan, in regards to Connor Stallions and his unfortunate taping, Michigan has it. There have been reports. The official report hasn't come down. There have been reports from various sources that either Michigan is going to get every sanction the NCAA has in the book, or they're going to completely say it was totally okay and let them go scot-free. I don't know. If you'll believe it, I have heard that they're going to get off scot-free from Michigan fans, and I have heard that they are going to get every sanction in the book from Ohio State fans, and absolutely nothing from the large gulf between those two fan bases. So I really can't tell you. but maybe there's a decision coming. I don't know. A little bit of rumors for you. Just stir the pot as we occasionally like to do here. But while we are still on recruiting, I saw something very unfortunate today scrolling on what I can only call Twitter. Um, so a certain team, and they're the other team in Michigan, the Spartans, offered 404 kids in, I believe it was the class of 2025. So far, they have offered
Wow.
404 kids. Now, if you don't.
Oh, we lost Kieran's audio. Kieran, audio cut out, and we lost him again. While Kieran was saying that, just to make sure whenever he comes back he's ready, real fast, this is just about a surprise team that is popping up in the 24/7 rankings. We're gonna be talking about, or I'll just talk about real quickly, Auburn as Kieran's back. Auburn is one of the teams that no one really expected to really be up here. This is another SEC team. Like Kieran said, there's been a lot of changes to the rankings of who's really leading in the 2025 recruiting district. Georgia took a tumble. As Kieran said, USC took a tumble, and so people that took their spots were Alabama. Alabama's another team like Michigan that's on the rise. People are starting to buy into what Kalen DeBoer is selling. People are liking what he's selling, and so now instead of we saw this mass exodus of 2024 recruits that were brought in by Saban, saying, "What the heck? We lost our guy. He might not back. Kalen DeBoer might not back us like Saban did." Now he's getting into the recruiting phase. He's now understanding how Bama does recruiting, what goes into that, what is like the entire process, and he's managed to get his way all the way to number 2 in the recruiting portal. Additionally, like I was talking about Auburn, Auburn's one of the surprise team. I believe Auburn right now is ranked 5 or 6, 5 actually. And Auburn's made some surprising moves. So they picked up Malik Audrey. He's a defensive lineman, ranked number 4 for his position. He's been doing insane. They picked up other players, so he's a 5-star. He's 98 rated, but they've also picked up an absurd amount of 4-star commitments. They've picked up already 11, which is, I believe, ties the most with A&M. So right now they've had a really good offseason. I think this could be buying into the fact that Auburn is now encouraging this idea of it's a new Alabama. It's a turn of the tide. Get it? Turn of the tide. But I think that's what they're trying to play into now, saying that they're going to be the dominant force to rise in the SEC as all the giants are tumbling. But it's still a toss-up. And now that Kieran's back, Kieran, resume what you were talking about Michigan and all the sanctions and the new running by Shimron Moore. My man's a little muted. We'll unmute him.
What? Oh, good lord.
There you go.
All right,
Sorry,
I'm having a rough go of it. I have a malfunctioning microphone. That's why I've been dropping in and out. I don't know what it's doing. It hasn't done that so far in recording of 19 episodes, but on the 20th, of course, here it goes. So what I was saying is we're going to get back to my trade of thought. So Michigan there have been rumors about sanctions. There have been rumors about completely no sanctions. I don't think they'll get off scot-free, but it seems like it'll be a pretty light slap on the wrist, especially considering how important Michigan is to NCAA and to NCAA football. So what I was talking about is Michigan State. I'm just going to kind of start this over again. We'll edit it. It's live. We'll edit it. So Michigan State has offered 404 kids from, I believe it was the class of 2025, or maybe it was 24, the one that just finished. And again, I was saying, if you don't see the problem with this, I really don't understand where you're coming from, because to me, this is a huge issue. I have seen many a coach talking about this on various platforms, but that an offer isn't an offer anymore, because Michigan State, I hate to break it to you, does not have 404 freshmen on their football team. They offered a sizable portion of these kids. And if you assume that half of them willingly decided to go to other schools, that is still 200 kids. That is 200 kids for maybe 20 spots. maybe more. Maybe you're getting 50 freshmen, which is a ridiculous portion of your total scholarships. But maybe if you're in a rebuild phase and everyone transferred out, you're somehow getting 50 freshmen in. Even then, that is a fourth of the kids you've offered, presuming again that half went to another school willingly. I think that's ridiculous. Coaches, please, recruiting directors, head coaches, I don't care who you are, I don't care what level. Do not send a kid an offer unless that day he can commit and be on your program come the next year or 2 years or wherever you're offering him, right? There is absolutely no need to send a kid an offer what he cannot commit on because it doesn't do anything. Who does it do stuff for? Does it do anything for you? He's not going to come play for you. Why do you care what happens to him? Are you doing it for a favor so he can get more notoriety? Are you doing it to try and just throw your name in the pot? Like, what's it for? Like, geez, actually recruit the kids. Build a relationship with them. Don't, like, it's ridiculous. There is no reason to give someone an offer and then take it away from them when they try to commit to your school, when they try to commit to your program, become a part of it, and get better. If you don't want them at your program, if they cannot play the caliber of football you want them to be able to play coming in as a freshman, then don't offer them. Don't give the offer of them being a member of your football team and then take it away. I think it just really irritates me. I know that I am a high school football player, so it kind of seems ironic, but I promise you I'm not getting heavily recruited. And that is part of my it's not that it's me personally. It's just that I think it's an issue that you offer so much to these kids, and high school kids care a lot about football. There's sentiment. You always want to go to the next level, and you want to get to that highest rank. And I can't imagine what it would feel like if today, I don't know, whoever called me said we've got a spot for you, and then when I tried to go there to play, they said no, we actually don't. And to me, that's kind of ridiculous. And if you're a recruiting director and you're just sending out offers willy-nilly because you like the kid or whatever, I don't know. Maybe this is an unenlightened take. Maybe this is just the way it is. But please do not offer a kid unless he can actually come to your school. And then once that kid commits to another school, you can offer another kid. You can be talking to that other kid all along. But once he actually commits or he's going somewhere else, offer the other kid. But just do it one at a time, please.
Yeah.
God dang it.
And I also feel like it's also like to a sense it's almost like disrespectful. Like you have to think about there's so many kids that play high school football that and all of them at some level want to be a part of the next level of the game, whether that be management, whether that be in the actually playing. And so let's say everyone that plays actually is intrigued by going to the next level and playing collegiate football if they have the talent. I know if I knew if I had the talent to make it to the next level, of course I'd be striving for it. And I feel like it's almost gut-wrenching whenever a coach would probably go up to tell me like, "Hey, we love what we see from you, and we would love to give you this commitment to come play for us at the next level." I feel like I'd be so jazzed out of my mind. I'd be like so ecstatic. But then whenever I get there or whenever I call, they say that there's no record of me like being told that by any coach. And I feel like that would just be so like gut wrenching and like it would just be such a horrible feeling for any player that has to go through that thinking that maybe this is my one way out. Maybe this is a way for me to pay for. Well, let's just say if you just got offered as a preferred walk-on, this would be a way for me to get into a college that I never thought I'd be able to do, or this would be a way for me to do things I'd never think I'd be able to get to do, like play at the next level. And so, whenever you take that away from someone, I feel like that's just borderline just disrespectful. And the fact that if you don't have something, do not offer it away because then it's just gonna come back to bite that person and you in the butt in the end. And with that being said, let's get on to a happier note. Let's get off of this morally sad and disrespectful mode of offering too many, what do you call it? Too many positions or too many scholarships or whatever. Anyways, the next segment that we're gonna add is what we're gonna call the TCU Award. Now, this is given to the team that is deemed to be like very surprising. So, of course, if y'all remember in 2022, no one saw TCU to be the number 2 team, the runner up in the national championship, and no one even had a clue. Their odds of probably winning were like probably plus 5,000, plus 15,000 just to even make it to the playoffs. So here we're gonna give you the 2 teams we believe have the highest shot, especially now in this new 12-team playoff, to make it to the championship and give us a surprise. Kieran, who's the team that you picked?
Yeah, so I have awarded the team with quite possibly the worst colors in all of college football. Some people like them. I do not, but I do love the team, Virginia Tech. So I really think Virginia Tech is sneaky this year. Their roster isn't super heavy hitting, but they have a great coaching staff and Brent Pry leading them. And I just think they can be sneaky. They can be that TCU where they have stars you don't know the names of, but if you watch, you will by the end of the season, right? And that kind of that feel to it, like that 2022 TCU team did. You really think? I mean, I think they can really go somewhere, and it's possible to dominate the ACC. Like, sure, there are big wigs, sure, there are big teams, but I don't see that many teams who will just flat out beat you if you're Virginia Tech. There's, I mean, you've got maybe Miami can flat out athlete you. Maybe Florida can, but I doubt it. Maybe Clemson can, and maybe FSU can. But other than that, you have to be the top dog. And I don't think most of those teams are going to have to beat you with their brains to at least some extent. I don't think there's any team that's just such a cut above athletically that they can just beat the pants off whoever else happens to come in their stadium. And so I think Virginia Tech has got a real shot here. I think there's a chance that they run the table, dominate the ACC, and end up in the playoffs, get that bye week, get a top seed for winning a conference, or even coming second in a conference in a very what looks to be a very strong conference, and then ending up worming their way in the college football playoff and having a run. I don't think it's that hard. I think Virginia Tech is a very dangerous team. And I think, quite frankly, it's really, really unsmart. It's really, really stupid to count them out. It's just not a wise decision. But Kirtan, who has your TCU award gone to?
Okay, so my TCU award has gone to the team known as the Cowboys. Yep, I am not talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm talking about the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So my reasoning behind this is plain and simple. This offseason we've seen probably the one of the biggest changes to the NCAA landscape. I'd argue forever. In forever meaning that we've seen NIL change. We've had all these new district realignments. We saw the end of the Pac-12, and all these major changes occurred. Well, one change that didn't happen was Oklahoma State and their dominance in the Big 12. And the reason I bring this up is because now let's take a field trip back to 2020, to the early of 2023, or the end of 2023, early of 2024. The Big 12 finals and championship game was played between Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, only one of those teams has moved conference, and the other one has stayed. So, just off the bat, you know that Texas is going to the SEC. We're not going to talk about them because we know they're going to already be a power where they're not going to be surprising if they do well. Oklahoma State has stayed in the Big 12, and I feel like have flown underneath the radar. With the new additions of Colorado, Utah, all these other teams, Kansas, who have Jalen Daniels, all these other teams with all their best star players, I feel like Oklahoma State has flown under the radar while they still have probably one of, if not the best player in all of college football as of right now, and we'll get into him on our next segment. But I feel like they're one of the teams that are sneaky. I'm muted.
No, I just said immunity. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, you're right. Anyways, all I was saying about Oklahoma State is that they're one of the teams that's going to fly underneath the radar. I feel like no one's going to really expect them to be big because we're going against monsters now. It's David versus Goliath. It's either Big Ten and SEC versus the rest. And if you're in one of if you're in the rest pot, then no matter what's an uphill climb, it's an uphill fight. And so my prediction and the award goes to Oklahoma State because I believe that they will be the winners of the Big 12. I believe that they will be sneaky, find a way to win, and then They're going to be a team that you don't expect. They're going to be relying on their running back, and they're going to make it so far. I feel like they're going to make it a deep playoff run into this new era of college football. But yep, those are our TCU awards. Sorry, I rambled a little bit on and on about Oklahoma State. I was trying to find the perfect words to say and almost got there. Alrighty. Now, last time, I don't know if you've tuned in. Please do so if you haven't. But last time we talked about the predicted top teams and their overalls in NCAA 25 college football game. This time we're going to be talking about the top 10 players and their overalls. And the way the segment works is that I give Kieran the player, and he tells me if he believes they are overrated, underrated, or perfectly rated for where they are. Okay, Kieran, to start it off, we have a player who I predicted to be the MVP next season, Jalen Daniels. He is right now sitting at or what would you say is his predicted ranking or overall?
Um, hmm, I would go 93.
Okay, so you were really close, but he's actually a 94 overall. He is, let's see. According to this, he is most notable for his speed. That's going to be his almost special ability, as much as most quarterbacks aren't fast. Um, and the reason for this is because he had an amazing season last year. The only problem he had was, of course, getting his back injury, but he's known for having wheels on the ground, and he's a problem if you let him get outside the pocket. Do you feel like he's overrated at 94 because he's at 93, or why do you think he should be higher or lower?
I think he should be a little lower. I don't think he was injured too much last year to get a good gauge, I think. And also, I mean, he's fast, but he's not that fast. I wouldn't say he's one of the more athletic quarterbacks. Um, he seems to me he comes across as more of a pocket passer style, which is maybe that's what Kansas needs. But I would say I think he's just a little overrated, just by 1 point
Alrighty. Next up on the list, we have my I'd argue the best quarterback. His name is Carson Beck, and he's rated at a 94. Over, under, or perfectly rated.
I would say under because the only time I've really found occasion to fault Carson Beck is just in those big pressure scenarios that Stetson Bennett did so well at. And I just think that's kind of the difference. I think he'll make it there. I think he's playing a little better, getting a little more comfortable, and really learning to take the reins of that Georgia team or take the leash, if you will. Um, but I really think that he's going to be more comfortable this year, and therefore I think he should be the highest rated quarterback.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought. So originally, when I watched him play last year, I know he's been sitting behind Stetson Bennett these like the last 2 years. And so I felt like he was almost a little bit intimidated, thinking that he'd have to live up to the hype of what Stetson Bennett did, replicate the success that Stetson Bennett had. And so I feel like he was just a little shaky off of that mainly. But now, after he got a grip, after he understood the assignment and understood the SEC, once he finally started trusting his pieces, he really showed that he has like pin perfect accuracy. And I feel like he's going to be a major threat come next season. Okay, next we have a wide receiver, and he just so happens to be on the most skilled team. This is Emeka Egbuka on the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's rated at 94, Kieran. Do we think he's over, under, or perfectly rated for his situation?
I don't know, man. uh, my tendency is to say over, just because I don't think he's really proved himself that much. I know he's a good talent, but what matters is can you come up with the big catches? Do you have that Marvin Harrison Jr. in you? Um, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna get it? Are you gonna catch that ball? Are you gonna make that catch? Are you gonna break that tackle? What's gonna happen there? And I haven't seen him. I mean, I've seen him uh, play some, and I've seen him get catches, but the focus was always on Marvin Harrison Jr. And now that that spotlight shifts to him, I don't know how he's gonna play. So I don't know. It's it. I would say he's a little overrated
Yeah.
just because he's unproven. but he is very talented.
Yeah, and I'd say the same. I think he is I say he is a little bit overrated for his situation. I think it's still going up to success. You have to also take into account that he wasn't playing the number one cornerbacks on the team. He was mostly playing the number two because they were guarding the number one and Marvin Harrison. So that could be a reason why he had a lot of success last year. So we'll really see if it transitions to this year, but that's still up to be decided. Okay, now we're going back. Now we're going back to quarterbacks, and now we got this man right here. When we score a touchdown, we throw on the shades and we go like this. Of course, I'm talking about Shador Sanders. He is ranked at 94 overall. Kieran, higher, lower, perfect.
Just because, um, you know, honestly, I really don't think that he should be rated above Carson Beck. And for that one reason, I think he's overrated. Other than that, I don't really want to talk about him.
Yeah, and I agree. Um, Moving on. Let's get into the actual meat of the people. Okay, we got Harold Perkins Jr., LSU linebacker, more in your area, 95.
No, just no. He's got to be
Wow.
lower. I don't know what other defensive players are coming, but I don't think he deserves to be up this high. Again, good talent, but watch him play last year. I know he had his struggles in terms of injury and everything, but it just wasn't it. I would turn on an LSU game and I was sold this great linebacker who's going to come off the edge and terrify the quarterback. And then the opposing team scored 50 points and the quarterback was safer than a sheep behind a wall of rocks. I don't know, man.
Alrighty, that makes sense. I didn't think he was as play disturbing or play breaking as he was supposed to be. I think he's a little high for where he is, but I mean, it only boosts LSU's overall in the game. Next up, we're going back to the QB area. That's actually our last QB. You should know a lot about this man. This man is from your team. We're talking about the cover athlete, Quinn Ewers.
It's too high.
Wow.
I've said too high on almost all of them. That's just because I think a lot of it's wrong.
I
But
respect it.
the biggest thing is that Quinn Ewers is incredibly inconsistent. He has arm talent, he has skill, he can read the game, he can play well, but he's so inconsistent. And without a run game, he is hot garbage. He without
Dang.
contrast, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. He is not a very good quarterback, I don't think. I think he is drastically overhyped and the team around him carried him through last year more than he did himself. I mean, you have to understand you had two top-notch wide receivers in Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, and your third target was Jordan Whittington, and you had Jatavian Sanders. That is 4 NFL receiving targets. And even then, he couldn't find them. I mean, Sugar Bowl, because they didn't run the ball enough, because they didn't commit to it, he played like crap. I mean, he was off. He couldn't find a rhythm. He had a couple of good passes, but the lack of rhythm is what cost Texas the game ultimately. He cannot find that. He is either in a groove and playing like he's prime Tom Brady or out of a groove and playing like he's low time Eli Manning. Like, there's no difference. There's no in between. There is no consistency. He does not have the consistency of a champion. And partially this is because I root for Texas some and therefore see his play more and critique it more. But I also just think that he's too highly rated. He's talented, but I mean, you might as well be giving a freshman that 97 rating because he still kind of plays like that. Now he's matured some and gotten a little more consistent, but he still has his struggles. And I think that's really a problem. And I mean, if I was an NFL GM, I wouldn't draft him. I don't care how high they rate him.
I would just say I'm gonna say he is perfectly rated. I don't want to anger any of the Texas fans, but the only reason I would say he's perfectly rated is because we know what he can do when he's in his element. He's really a great pocket passer through and through. Like no matter what you say, I think he honestly is one of the top end quarterbacks based off what he can produce during a game. I think his flaw is that in big moments he shines away and he almost gets intimidated and then starts looking at one target and then focusing his passes at one guy. But of course, I don't critique him as much as you do. So on the face value, based off of what I saw in the spring game, he didn't look all right. He looked a little iffy, but he's probably going to get back into the shape of where he needs to be come game time, and he's good for it because I'm pretty sure you'll are opening against some like FBS, literally BS team. Anyways, moving on, we have the number 2 player, and this is the other cover athlete. His name is Travis Hunter, and he plays wide receiver and DB. Kieran, is
Too
he
high.
a okay? Good talk. Anyways, yeah, and that was Travis Hunter. Too high. Interesting. Good words. Okay,
Possibly literally, but in this sense, yes, he is very much too high.
and just in case I didn't say it, he was a 97 overall.
I'm gonna save this rant because y'all don't really need to hear it. I've already ranted twice on this episode, and even my microphone was trying to cut me off. Um, but he is very, very talented, and he deserves this rating on a field with 7 players. But when you add the other 4, issues happen. Let's just put it that way. Um, but yeah, Kirtan, who
Yeah,
was the number 1?
Real
Or
fast, I love Travis Hunter, but he got knocked out of the game by a Colorado State DB. Colorado State. And we're talking like this man is the best player in the nation. Wait till he goes against the number 1 DB in the nation, then tell me what happens. Anyways, getting to the number 1 spot, I was alluding to him earlier, and his name is Ollie Gordon. He is the running back at Oklahoma State, and he is ranked a perfect 99. Over, under, perfect.
wait, isn't 100 perfect?
When it comes to NCAA and Madden, there is no such thing as 100 overall. So
Okay.
99 is the best you can get.
Um,
I
I'm
don't
just
make the
gonna.
rules.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna say perfect. I mean, I don't think he's the best player in college football. In fact, I certainly don't think that. But he's a super athlete, and he has crazy potential. Um, and unless he has to play a good defensive line, sure, he's great. I mean, um, I don't know what to tell you. I want to say too high again, but I know that would completely I would expose my defensive bias and all of that. But I don't know. I don't really see it. EA, I don't really see it. But if I had to agree with one, I would agree with this one.
Yeah. And I'd say the same thing, but I'm going to be honest. I think he's too highly rated. Part of me thinks that EA gave out these absurd ratings because it is the first game back that they're doing college football, and you have to account for your entire audience. You have us, the analytical side, who like to look at the player's actual play against the teams he play, against the strength of the schedule, against an actual O line, against an actual D line, and we take into consideration, say, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 0 to 99, there's no way this guy is the top tier player in the entire league. There's just no way that has to go to someone else. I don't know who it would go to, but it can't go to him based off of what he did last year because we don't know if he is really a top player or is it just because he was the top out of his um, teams that he played. He didn't really go against Alabama. He didn't really go against Georgia. But I think from a game aspect, you always want the broken Michael Jordan. You always want the Michael Vick with 99 speed. You always want these players that are game breaking, that'll make the game fun and just make it enjoyable for everyone. Anyways, that has been our over under perfectly rated. We'll see if we have another one of those. I don't even think there is any more of those we can do, but if there is, we'll get it to you. Anyways, moving on to our final and favorite and end segment. This is, of course, I believe we have missed a segment, but this is, of course, our bold predictions, right?
Yep.
Alrighty.
We are on to the bold of the bold, the best of the bold, the bravest of the bold. Yep, it's another bold prediction. And I have a little bit. It's kind of spicy. It's at least a little spicy. I think personally that it certainly has some pretty good potential. And I think that, a lot of people, he's kind of slid under the radar so far. He's not been very good. Well, not been very good. He's not been very well noticed. And I think there is a huge potential for him to do big things this year at a certain team in Texas. And I really think that he could be the best at his position. Um,
Please don't say
I've
it.
seen the film. I've seen the results. I think that Trey Moore will be the best edge in college football this year.
Okay. I think that was a hot take. I'm not gonna lie, but what I'm about to say is a little bit borderline bold, but this is going to be an interesting one. So I was also going to talk about a Texas player who is also going to end up be a surprise, who is also going to be the number one in his position, who's being overlooked currently. And I was going to say that let's take a journey with me real fast, a quick one. Third quarter, it's raining down in DKR Stadium. The fans are loud, it's rowdy. Longhorns are down by 7 points to a team that no one would expect because Texas always does this nonsense against teams. Let's take I don't know who y'all play against, not Oklahoma, against Florida. Let's say against Florida, a team that you should actually beat, but it's of course against Florida. Florida always has you somehow, and Quinn Ewers drops back for a pass, is looking over the middle, trying to find his number one option. And I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. Oh, Isaiah Bond. He's trying to find Isaiah Bond. He can't find him. He scrambles out of the pocket. And what is that? Boomstick. And Quinn Ewers' leg goes from this to ankle twist. It wasn't his leg. Don't worry, guys. But all in all, Quinn Ewers has to come out of the game. He's limping a little bit. He's trying to get perhaps Sharkeesian is yelling at him to get back in the game. But lo and behold, number 16, number 15, runs out on that field wearing his mask, tighten everything up, and he gets one drive, and they say, "Mr. Manning, tap into your bloodstream, pull out your inner Peyton Manning, and win us this game." And you know what he does? He gets down there, throws a bullet pass right into the hands of Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond is making a run for it. He then hands the ball off. Go, but it's a play action. He throws the ball. It's a touchdown. And the game becomes 20-28. It's a back and forth. But in the end, Texas wins it by a field goal. My bold prediction is not that's going to happen, because if that happens, I may need to buy a lottery ticket because I may be the smartest man alive. No, my prediction is that Quinn Ewers will go down at some point this season, be replaced by Arch Manning. Arch Manning will end up turning heads, and there will be a big debate in the media, a big one, about who should start next week. We will hear from Skipper. We will hear from all of these media personalities talking about who they would pick to start. But in the end, Quinn Ewers will get his position back when he's healthy. But I just wanted to say that's a bold prediction in the fact that he is
That
going to
is
go down
no.
and Arch Manning will come in. How is that not bold?
That's not bold at all, bro.
That's
Texas
not bold
plays
statement.
so many good edge rushers. A, B, they play a lot of good linebackers. Michigan is probably going to murder Quinn Ewers.
Okay, but the bold prediction is that Arch Manning comes in and plays amazing.
If Arch Manning plays a single snap, the media will have a controversy over who should start.
Oh my god. Okay,
He could
Arch
do
Manning.
GT counter to CJ Baxter.
Arch Manning starts a game.
And it could go
How
for
about
2
that?
yards. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we
That's a
go.
bold
That's
prediction.
bold. We'll take it. Yes.
Okay, but I do believe that Quinn Ewers will go down at some point in the season. But my bold prediction is that Arch Manning will get the start in one of the games this season. The good thing that Kieran didn't realize that if Texas goes undefeated, or I guess they'd never start them, even if it would be their last game of the season. Well, that's a good bold prediction, and that's a great way to end this episode perfectly. at 10 p.m. Thank you for all of the people watching this at home. I guess I don't know where else you'd be watching this. Anyways, thank you for everyone who tuned into the live stream. All two of you, legends. And we promise these videos will come out on YouTube. You just got to give us some time. We're busy people. We are really bad at making excuses because it is summer. We shouldn't be busy, but we are. So yeah, that's it for me. Kieran, do you want to add anything else?
Nope.
Alrighty, well that's been Beyond the Snap podcast. Go leave a like, subscribe on YouTube or on Instagram or on Twitter. If there's a social media, just type in Beyond the Snap. We'll be on it. We might make a Snapchat. Who knows? Anyways, that's been it. We probably will. Sayonara. Beep 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 beep. End. Yay! Live.